America and around the world. We are not bought by the billionaires. We are here to be your source of truth in a time where truth matters more than it ever has. Be sure to follow along with your favorite platform on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, or Substack. Let's get busy with the truth. Welcome to the Ignition News. Lucky night. Good morning, everyone. Let me just check everything. We're good, locked in, loaded. Spotify, Substack, YouTube, and Twitch. I don't know if someone can check the Twitch feed. I don't know if it's working. Let me just get a minute here and just check. Oh, we're good on Twitch. Awesome. It looks great over on Twitch. Yeah, it looks the best, actually. Good for us. Way to go. As a quick reminder, everyone, good morning. We are the Ignition News from the Rebel Radio Network. It is so great to have you on this Saturday morning. It is lucky Saturday the 7th, 2026. We've got a few stories to tie a few things together. I do have some thoughts, if you will, as well. Let me just kick it up a little bit. Good morning, Rebels. I know that it's been an interesting February, but there are tales from the resistance all across the country. There are stories about what's happening that I want you to know about. Here on the Ignition News, we bring you 4 or 5 stories that I think you need to know to get your day started and to continue to resist the rising tide of Christian nationalist fascist authoritarianism across the United States. To push back, stand up, and fight for your country. Good morning. I'm going to take a brief pause and ask you, as I always do, to please go ahead and follow the show on your favorite podcast platform. Apple, Substack, Spotify, all those places. I appreciate everyone helping out, and I appreciate the moderators over on TikTok who help keep this a safe and friendly space. This is a live news show, but we need you to follow us on the other platforms as well. Not all news episodes are recorded live. So we've got a few interesting stories that I think tie together today. What I wanted to do this Saturday, since it is the 7th, is I wanted to paint a picture of what I would call the decline of the relevance of MAGA. And let me be very clear, that doesn't mean it's any less dangerous. But I want to point out some things today that I've observed that represent that now is in fact the time for us to have optimism, faith, and to push back against these fascists. The first one is rather unbelievable. And it's actually quite believable, but the fact that this is where we've sunk to as a country is disgusting. So our first story today is the deliberate politicization of the United States military. We've got breaking news that active duty U.S. service members at 8 military installations worldwide have reportedly been pressured by their commanding officer to attend screenings of the Melania Trump documentary. That was not like, oh, hey, if you'd like to, here's a ticket, get a discount, military discount. Oh, it was really good. They literally basically used their chain of command to basically insist that these people went to this movie. The movie, by the way, the documentary has been a complete abject failure. It purportedly cost $75 million to make, and it has bombed both critically and financially. Apparently, it opened only $7 million at box office. And that's despite absolutely horrible reviews. There seems to be a coordinated bot campaign activity on review websites where a bunch of new accounts are rating it favorably. But we're learning that they literally ordered troops to go watch the movie. And I think it's important to note that this is not like your shift supervisor at Taco Bell. This is the military chain of command. Those people have complete and total control of the lives of their troops. And so when they say you're going to go watch the Melania documentary, it is much less of a suggestion and much more of an order. That's textbook authoritarianism, using the state power to compel participation in politics. There is ostensibly, let me be very clear. People always say I'm hyperbolic. You explain to me the difference between the military being ordered to go watch a shitty documentary, a propaganda documentary about Melania Trump, the least qualified first lady in the history of America, who herself, if you know any history about her immigration, she came over on what was called a genius visa. A genius visa. Anyways, so, explain to me the difference between this president, This Pete Hegseth essentially ordering troops to go watch a documentary and rows of thousands of Nazi soldiers standing in line at a parade. I'll wait. The fact is, they are using the military to make political statements, which is not the way that the military is supposed to work in the United States of America. Somehow, and I'm sure we're going to see photos of this. I'm sure we're going to see pictures of all the troops wearing their little MAGA hats, cheering on our amazing First Lady. Yeah. Here's some thoughts. Service members described feeling, quote, helpless to try to fight against what they are doing here. And that's the point, is it not? To make people feel helpless? When you force people to do something like this in the name of politics, it tears down unit cohesion. It makes our military less effective. When people feel less willing to stand up for the principles of the Constitution and more apparently, I guess, sycophantic to the orange president, this makes our military less effective, less strong, less powerful, and certainly less respected. But it's not the only collapse of MAGA. Thank you, everyone, for following on the show today. Good morning. It's great to see you. If you want to follow our show, just go to theignition.news and find us on all of your favorite platforms. Let's go ahead and say hello to everyone else. Oh, we've got people watching on Twitch. We've got some people watching on YouTube. Thank you very much. We stream on YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, Substack, and TikTok. It is great to have you. It is great to have you on the show today. Into the next story. It's about the decline of MAGA as sort of a cultural force. So let's talk about it. Obviously, this weekend is Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, and the president has announced that he is not going to the Super Bowl. The president said he is not going because the halftime show featuring Bad Bunny and Green Day are a terrible choice that, quote, sows hatred, which is quite remarkable coming from, obviously, the president of the United States, who just posted a racist meme of the Obamas. But what's actually happening is his advisors are actually encouraging him not to go to the Super Bowl. He's staying at home because they suspect that he's going to get booed on national television. And this is increasingly happening, by the way. We'll talk about this in a second. They might be able to convince the network television not to air hundreds of thousands of people booing the president live on television. But eventually someone's cell phone footage gets out, or someone has it behind the scenes, or someone leaks footage. But in order to counter this, they're using Turning Point to do turning points like Turning Point is Charlie Kirk's organization. Charlie Kirk actually apparently had nothing to say about this. So when we get a quote from him, we'll let you know. Anyways, so they are having their own halftime show. Here is their their counter programming. You've got Kid Rock. Kid Rock is the headliner. Kid Rock has not had a hit since 2008. Let's see. Who else? I mean, that's really the only one I know. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know any of these other people. But Bad Bunny is Spotify's most streamed artist. I did not actually know that, but I'm not really into Bad Bunny. I don't know. So you got Bad Bunny versus Kid Rock. And that's obviously going to be streamed live on to hundreds of millions of people. And Turning Point is streaming it to the Daily Wire Plus, Real America's Voice, their social media, and OAN. They're calling it the All American Halftime Show. The point is, I mean, I feel like the point is self-evident. Someone's saying, I hear that Turning Point canceled. I did not hear that myself. The point is, this is what happens when your cultural relevance starts to seed away, when it disappears. Okay, we already know that Gen Z is flocking away from Trump and from the Republican Party specifically. We already know that even his own voters are flocking away. That they're starting to obviously see the chaos and the consequence of everything that he's doing. I would encourage you to go watch. There was a really pretty shocking interview on C-SPAN. Someone called into C-SPAN yesterday. It was this old MAGA farmer in the South. And he calls into C-SPAN and he issues what I can only say is a really beautiful apology for voting for this president after what happened with the president posting the image of Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. And he called in and he admitted what I think a lot of Americans will admit. Now, what I will say, first of all, is part of why he's getting condemned for this, why the president is getting condemned for this racist video that he posted of the Obamas, is not as nice as you might like to imagine. part of the reason he's getting condemned is a lot of these MAGA people, a lot of these deeply religious people, allegedly religious people, a lot of these Christian nationalists, there's sort of a code that they have that you're not supposed to say the racist stuff out loud, or you're not supposed to say the racist stuff where other people can see you saying them. Because a lot of these Christian nationalists, a lot of these people from the South, they say the same exact things. Trust me, I have been in rooms. I lived in South Carolina for 6 months. I have seen people say the most racist things. I've heard people say the N-word in the most insane settings. And so part of the reason he's getting condemned is there's kind of a code with these people that you're not supposed to let other people know that you say these things, which he violated. But the other part of it is genuinely shocking to see the American president say something like that. And, they can say that it was a staffer. They can say whatever they want to say about this. But we know how this president feels about Black Americans. It's been very clear since day one. Arguably, he is president because Obama dissed him at a dinner. It started this trajectory that led us to this American hell. The point being, I know that there are days when this feels very heavy, but on a day like today, we have to take stock of the fact that, yes, even though I don't really know Bad Bunny. He seems like a nice person. I couldn't name a Bad Bunny song. The fact is, Bad Bunny's performing at the Super Bowl, and they got Kid Rock. The point is, I think we have to understand what's happening, and I think we have to lean into that. And I would say, even though we have a tendency to be kind of stern in how we view supporters of this American fascism, when you get an old Southern man calling in to C-SPAN and apologizing to the country for voting for this president, we got to swallow that one. We do. We got to swallow that one, and we have to welcome that kind of courage. So yeah, let's move on to the next story. I know I've given you some optimism, but I want to give you some reality. So while obviously you got Turning Point, the Super Bowl, the president, his cognitive decline, ICE is not slowing down. It actually has sped up. And I don't want us to take our eyes off of what's actually happening. We do have some new information. Our next story. Welcome to the Ignition News, everybody. If you, I would quickly remind you to do follow the show on your favorite podcast platform. We've got some new numbers from ICE for January. 70,000 detentions in January. Nearly 3/4 of those detained have no criminal convictions, right? So 75% of those 70,000 people do not have any conviction of any time. ICE arrested 36,000 people in January. And meanwhile, constitutional violations are piling up. A judge in Minneapolis just really scolded the administration for something like violating 100 court orders. That's more violations, by the way, in 1 month than some federal agencies see in like the entire time they've been around. We're seeing ICE action in Colorado. We're still seeing ICE action in Minneapolis. We're seeing ICE action in West Virginia, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. We have federal agents conducting warrantless raids, racially profiling, and denying due process. And of course, you saw this horrific image of this federal marshal in Memphis kicking a dog. And I want to talk about that just briefly. We have to stop being shocked by things like this. And if you haven't seen the video, I would just say you actually probably don't need to see it, but I'll briefly describe to you what happened. There's a video of this federal marshal conducting an immigration raid in Memphis. This very small dog kind of runs up, and you can see that this is the kind of dog that's just like a little yappy dog, okay? Runs up to this federal marshal who looks to be about 250 pounds, got the full gear on, is fully armed, all that stuff. And he kicks the dog in the stomach. And so hard that the dog actually goes flying, and it yelps and it screams and cries. We cannot be immune to the shock of all of this. We cannot be immune to the disgust of all this, but we also can't just sit in our shock. So what I would tell you is, when this kind of thing happens, we need to start demanding action, okay? Animal cruelty is a city crime. It is a state crime. And our city and state leaders need to hold these people accountable when they commit crimes. If that federal agent committed animal cruelty and it is unjustified, I mean, it's hard to imagine a scenario where that would be justified. The dog clearly is not attacking him. The dog is clearly much, much smaller. The dog does not appear to be trying to bite him in any way. There's just a disgusting man kicking a dog in the stomach because he thinks he can. And so if these things happening and they are in fact a crime, they need to be investigated. And if it's determined by state and local authorities that it's a crime, they need to hold these people accountable. And if you think, oh, the federal government's going to push back, they're going to hold them immune, they're going to protect them, then let the federal government go on record as being pro-dog abuse. Let that be the federal government that we have. Let us see it for the truth so that Americans can decide what kind of government they want to have. Because I can tell you, I don't want to have that kind of government. And also, just briefly, what kind of fucking coward are you? A little dog? I go out and I work every single day in my community. I see probably dozens of dogs, okay? I'm a grown adult man, and I understand when I'm in a situation, when I'm at a home and there might be a dog present, it is my responsibility as a grown adult man to be vigilant of my surroundings and to not put myself in a situation where I might be at risk from a dog. But also, I'm not an asshole, and dogs tend to respond to the energy that you give them. And so because I'm not an asshole, dogs tend not to perceive me as an asshole. But if I'm in a situation where there's a dog or there might be a dog and I'm even remotely unsure if that is going to put me in a situation where that dog might come towards me, I don't put myself in that situation. Or to ask the owner of the dog, hey, is the dog friendly? Is the dog okay? Do you need me to step back? These are basic, easy things. And there is no scenario that I could imagine where I would have behaved the way that federal marshal behaved. And of course, the federal government is saying, oh, it was justified. His conduct was justified. That may be, but we need to demand an investigation. Because the video seems quite clear to me. And the one thing I can tell you with absolute certainty is now there's a really significant pattern of behavior where the federal government tells us something happened, and then we see a video that proves the exact opposite. And what I saw in that video of that marshal kicking that dog was disgusting. And I'm disgusted. And it needs to be investigated. And if it is determined that it was a crime, which I would love to hear the explanation as to why that was justified, because it was disgusting, then we need to start holding these people accountable. And if the state fails to hold them accountable, at least they tried. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this, oh, we can't do anything. We can't do anything. Well, try. Try. Or it will be your dog, or your cat, or your friend, or your family member. And so while that disgusting behavior is in fact a reality, unfortunately, of America at this time, I'm going to close out with 3 stories specifically showing you that this is not yet over and that we are not yet done fighting fascism in this country. In Pearl River, in Pearl River, Louisiana, protesters were arrested for demonstrating against ICE at a highway intersection. Police claimed they were obstructing traffic, and they arrested them for, quote, using profanity. They arrested people for swearing. The next week, the protest grew larger. About 30 people showed up holding anti-ICE signs and waving American flags, while about 10 counter-protesters showed up with pro-ICE signs. Who shows up with pro-ICE signs? What the fuck? Police watched from the rooftops with binoculars and tactical gear. This is in deep, deep South Louisiana. Pearl River, Louisiana. Do you know the kind of courage it takes for 30 people to show up in Pearl River? I haven't even heard of Pearl River before this today. Anywhere in Louisiana. Those are American patriots. Those are American heroes holding up signs. And of course, who comes to greet them? The American Nazis holding up their pro-ICE signs. Disgusting. But they were still outnumbered 3-1. 30 people showed up to protest ICE. Only 10 showed up to harass them. And then when the police got tired of it, they didn't know what to do. They arrested them for swearing. Well, fuck. But that's not it. In my little home city of Las Vegas, there was a wrestling match. It's called All Elite Wrestling. And if you watch the clip of it, you'll see that there was like this thing where there started to be a chant. And all of a sudden, the chant erupted into fuck ICE, fuck ICE, fuck ICE. And this was broadcast massively. All of these people in Las Vegas at a wrestling match. The wrestling match people are shouting fuck ICE. The wrestling match people. And then, of course, I saw someone in the chat mention this, but the vice president got booed at the Olympics. And now, of course, all these pearl clutchers are, oh my God, how terrible. I can't believe this happened. Oh my God, they booed the vice president. He got booed nonetheless. And so the point is, my friends, there are hues and tones of darkness, hues and shades of what type of America we are becoming and what type of America we demand. The fact of the matter is, we do have difficult days ahead of us. We do have challenges ahead of us. But I still believe, as I suspect you believe as well, there are more of us than there are of them. And this thing happens to me now more increasingly when I feel tired of pushing back against this American fascism. Someone in my community or someone in our Rebel Radio community or Spotify in the comments or anywhere comes and offers me a hand, reminds me what it is and why it is we're doing this and who we're doing it for. It's Saturday, February 7th. We have survived 1 year of this American fascist. We must vigorously protect our elections. We must vigorously protect our communities. There are days when we feel tired, and there are days that we feel unstoppable. All of this is very natural. All of this is very predictable. But the one thing that wasn't predictable to me, if I'm being very honest with you, is I assumed, as you probably did as well, that we would see some type of institutional resistance from elected Democrats. It is kind of shocking, if not disappointing, to see how deeply they have left us out in the cold, how they have left us alone and to ourselves, by ourselves. But they have. And we are, in fact, by ourselves. But what did surprise me, and I'm being very honest with you, what did surprise me is the tenacious resistance of the American people. Whether that is kids in our schools walking out of class to protest, or whether it is repeated, sustained resistance. It's easy to forget now, but this has been a year of gritty, sustained resistance to this American fascism. It has been long and tiring and grueling, but the American people have continued to show up in the streets, to build community, to build mutual aid networks, to run for office, to stand up and to stop this American president. I've said this before, but I will say it one more time. If American fascism were winning, if the Christian nationalist fascists were winning right now, this would already be over. And the reason that it's not over is not because of elected Democrats or because of institutional resistance from courts or business leaders or really anything. It's because people like you are showing up every day and refusing to move. It's February 7th, everyone. The rising tide of Christian nationalist fascism advances nonetheless. Today we see that metaphorically it has a bit of a flat tire. But our movement is strong. We are building, adding, growing, strengthening, becoming more courageous. So, as I always say, when these fascists try to discourage you, when they try, like that poor little dog, to kick you down or to kick you out, when they try to squash you, to silence you, or to oppress you, when they try to push you, push back. The stupid lawyers want to make sure this part is here. The Ignition News does not encourage or endorse violence of any kind. Our content focuses on civic engagement, community organizing, and peaceful collective action within the framework of constitutional rights and democratic participation. All references to resistance refer to lawful forms of protest, advocacy, and community protection. This has been today's episode of The Ignition News. Please consider following us on all of your favorite podcast platforms, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, or Substack. We're here to deliver to you unfiltered, uncensored news. Let's get busy with the truth on The Ignition News.